For 2,082 days, people in Delphi worried, waited, and kept hope for an arrest in the killings of Libby German and Abby Williams. The girls went missing from the Monon High Bridge on February 13, 2017. Their bodies were found the next day, Valentine's Day. Over the years, more than 70,000 tips came in, but it wasn't until October 26 of 2022 that a task force of investigators felt they had their man. 2 days later, Richard M. Allen was charged with 2 counts, felony counts of murder.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday, was the day.
The prosecutor said the documents on the case would remain sealed temporarily, leaving unanswered how police connected Allen to those killings back in 2017. So 13 Investigates Bob Siegel began looking into Allen to see what could be learned about the man now charged in the Delphi murders.
Often when police announce the identity of an individual charged with murder, that person has a long criminal history. That is not the case with Richard Matthew Allen. Here's what we know. Allen is 50 years old. He also goes by Rick or Ricky. He's lived in Delphi for at least 16 years, and his home is less than 2 miles from the Monon High Bridge, where Abby and Libby disappeared before they were murdered. Records show the suspect previously lived in Greenwood and in Mexico, Indiana. We also know Allen is a licensed pharmacy technician. He received his Indiana license in 2018, and it's still active. Neighbors told 13 News Allen worked at the CVS in Delphi, and today CVS confirmed that for us. He has no criminal history, a few speeding tickets and a citation for not wearing a seatbelt, but that's it. State police told us Allen has entered a not guilty plea, and he's being held at the White County Jail without bond.
The probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court.
The prosecutor says he asked a judge to keep the document under seal because the investigation is ongoing and investigators want more tips from the public.
It is surprising.
Novella Neediff spent 2 decades as a public defender and now teaches law at Indiana University. She says she's never heard of a prosecutor keeping a probable cause affidavit secret in such a high-profile case. She says releasing the information helps ensure due process for the defendant and allows the public to ask important questions. In this case, both of those things are in jeopardy because the case is essentially being kept secret. A hearing will be held to challenge that decision, but that could be weeks away.
While we wait for those documents to be released and answers to come on the investigation, for the family of Libby German, knowing a man is under arrest in the killings is enough for now.
I want to make sure that we have everything we possibly need and more. I don't want to leave any stone unturned.
After 5 years without answers, police have 50-year-old Richard Allen of Delphi in custody, charged with the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Libby's grandparents, Mike and Becky Patty, say they've been processing the impact of Allen's arrest for the past few days.
I don't feel like I thought I would. I've always said that I would be screaming on the rooftops, but we're not. It's sad.
Allen lived just 5 minutes from the Monon High Bridge Trail, where Abby and Libby went missing February 13th, 2017. Their bodies were discovered near the woods just 1 day later. Mike says while Allen worked and lived in their small town of less than 3,000, they didn't know him.
Doug Carter said that early on, if you recall. He said he's hiding in plain sight, and that's the case. Didn't know I don't know the gentleman personally at all, so I've probably seen him, but it's a small county, but definitely I don't know him.
Kelsey German, Libby's sister, tweeting this morning after Allen's arrest was announced, saying, "We got him." Now, Becky says after half a decade spent fighting for answers, what's next for them feels less certain.
Our lives for 5.5 years have been in a search mode. And that's what we've done. And you get up and it's like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. So we're all just kind of feeling our way and figuring out what our purpose is now.
But both say they want every tip, every piece of information about what happened to come to light so they can push forward and finally resolve this case, getting justice for Abby and for Libby.
It's somewhat bittersweet, you know, knowing that while it allows us to move to the next turn or the next chapter, we still got a big mountain ahead of us. And we're going to stay after it. We haven't ever given up, and you guys haven't given up on us, and we're going to keep pushing all the way.
Behind the families of Libby and Abby has been the Delphi community. After their quiet town was rocked by the murders, life was never quite the same. But one thing did not change, and that was their hope that the families would someday get answers and justice.
It's just a big relief, really is.
For many people in Delphi, like Dan Aldridge, a weight has been lifted.
I'm just glad that they have someone to, kind of hold accountable.
Valerie Latino watched on her cell phone Monday as authorities named Richard Allen in the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German, a crime that rocked this community to its core.
I was nervous to go to trails alone. I have a daughter who is around the same age. I was nervous for her to go anywhere. So now that they kind of have someone that they suspect, it's relieving, makes me feel safer.
Hopefully he talks, hopefully he puts out everything that they need and they can wrap this up, because them babies deserve this. They deserve this.
When neighbors learned Allen was a part of the community,
Lived here and was in the community and ran around like there was nothing going on, And it's kind of a slap to the face.
He interacted with everybody in this town. He interacted with all of our children, our babies, our teenagers, with us. He told us to have a good day, stay safe, Everyday normal conversation. This man carried on with his life like it was nothing.
As questions about Richard Allen remain, neighbors want to know one thing.
I don't know, just wonder why it happened,
And those answers might not ever come. We will get more details once the court documents are unsealed by a judge and once Allen goes to trial. And as the case against Allen now moves forward, Scott Swan and Felicia Lawrence are here now with a look back at how this case all began.
It was February 13th, 2017, the day before Valentine's Day, a day that would leave two families mourning, a community frightened, and investigators puzzled for years to come. It was on that cold Monday that 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German went to the Monon High Bridge in Delphi. The young teen girls had the day off from school. They were dropped off, then disappeared. A search would discover their tragic end the next day. Their bodies discovered in a wooded area not far from that bridge along the banks of Deer Creek. What we would all soon learn is that Libby, in those terrifying moments, captured evidence that would help police in the search for the killer. On February 15th, 2017, police released cell phone images from Libby's phone showing a suspect in the case coming across the bridge toward the girls. A week later, police released audio from Libby's phone.
As 13 News reported on the case, we spoke with Ronald Logan, the man who lives at the property where the girls were found.
Has this gotten to you? Has this played on your mind?
Yeah, the longer it goes, yes, it does. Yeah, it's, I'm not sure I fully comprehend what all's happened yet. Two young kids playing, thinking they're having a wonderful day, Valentine's Day, and ends up in one of the largest tragedies in Carroll County history.
In your backyard?
In my backyard. Yeah, it's a big thought. Okay. Not a good one.
Turns out
The FBI was also talking to Logan. An agent at the time noted that Logan's voice was not inconsistent with that of the voice captured on German's phone. The FBI notes an interview with Logan's relative in which the relative tells the agent that Logan called them the morning of February 14th, 2017, and asked them to lie about where he had been the previous afternoon. That was before the bodies of the girls were found. 13 News was there as Logan's home was searched.
More than a dozen investigators worked for hours, searching Ron Logan's home, his garage, barns, and property. They are looking for clues to whether Logan is connected to the murders.
Basically, we're trying to either clear him or look at him even harder. That's what we're trying to do here.
Abby Williams and Libby German were found murdered on Logan's property. Days later, he walked us to the secluded crime scene, appearing shaken by what occurred here.
I can't really wrap my emotions around it yet. It's just so mind-boggling.
Later, when someone used social media claiming Logan resembles investigators' prime suspect, the 77-year-old was understandably angry.
I was cleared by the authorities ages ago.
Since then, investigators received new leads and found new information, prompting the search and putting new attention on Logan.
As we have gone into the investigation and have talked to other people, things are just not adding up, and we're just trying to get things added up.
Police arrested Logan earlier this week on a probation violation. He has numerous drunk driving convictions. He's being held without bond. Investigators searched with the help of a canine. They carried away armloads of potential evidence and seized Logan's truck. Police, though, warned against rushing to any conclusions.
This is part of the investigation. This is not our first search warrant. We've done several others other than this residence. We've done some polygraphs. We've done all kinds of things to other people.
In citing reasons for the search warrant, the FBI agent noted that pieces of clothing from one of the victims were missing and that it appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. There were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. Investigators recovered fibers and unidentified hairs at the crime scene. The agent also suspected a souvenir had been taken by the killer and that it was common for perpetrators to memorialize the crime scene with pictures. It's not clear if anything was found in Logan's home, but he was never arrested before he died in 2020.
On July 17th of 2017, police released their first sketch of the suspect. They had received thousands of tips and were working through them. But as the months passed and years passed, this case went quiet. That was until April 2019. That's when a new sketch of the suspect was released, and additional audio of the suspected killer from Libby's phone emerged. Again, tips came flooding in. The families of the girls and that community in Delphi were hopeful it would finally lead to a break in the case. But again, days turned to weeks, weeks to months, and months into years with no arrest and sadly no answers.
Then, nearly 5 years after the murders on December 6th of 2021, police asked who had communicated with the social media account of the name Anthony Schatz. A flurry of activity took place then. The images in the accounts were those of a male model. The account itself belonged to a man from Miami County. He lived just over 30 minutes from Delphi.
That man is facing a series of child pornography charges, but was never charged in connection to the Delphi murders. Allen, meantime, slated to go to trial in 2023. And that trial may provide answers, but it will never bring back the two beloved girls. Hopefully, their families will take solace in all the good deeds that are being done in their names and how Abby and Libby are being remembered to this day.